All right, this is the appraisal contingency form. An appraisal contingency lets you out of the deal if the home doesn't appraise for your offer price, but it makes your offer a little less attractive to the seller because it's just one more thing for them to worry about. So first, I guess, is this form even necessary? Without the form, usually what happens is the bank is going to make you get an appraisal, and they want the house to appraise for at least what you're buying the home for. And they don't want to loan like $200,000 if the home only appraises for 180. And normally when this happens, the bank will say, sorry, we're not going to lend, and the deal is done. However, just because it doesn't appraise for the full amount doesn't mean the bank will automatically say no. They might see that you have plenty of funds and you're financially able to go through with the deal, so they might keep going through with the deal. Like, say you're Bill Gates and you're buying this $200,000 home and it appraises for 180. The bank will probably still make you go through with the deal because they know you have enough money to cover it. They'll lend you the appraised value, the 180, and you have to pay out of pocket to make up the difference. Does this happen often? Not really. Lending standards are pretty tight right now, so it's really not as common. If you have a low down payment mortgage because you don't have a lot of savings, the bank will probably just tell you no, and then you didn't need to do this form in the first place. So anyway, getting into the form, the first line you'll come to is the name. Be sure to enter the name the way it appears on the main contract. And we are John and Jane Smithsonian. And then we're going with the property address is 3 Demo Street, Demo City, Florida 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And then here we're going to do the initials. And like what we did with some of the other forms that you've probably listened to this video on, John Smithsonian, John Smithsonian and Jane Smithsonian, you got the same initials. And just for the purpose of the videos here for demonstration, we want different initials just so you can see what we're doing here. So instead of JS for John Smithsonian, we're just going to do JON and sign. And if you have a second initial, remember, if you click this sign button, it's just going to re-enter John. So we're going to do new, add new signature, and Jane, instead of JS for Jane Smithsonian, JAN for Jane, sign. And you can see that the this verified marker here, the reason we have these spaced out the way they are, the reason they're not in the center of the line is just because this can sometimes cover over that. So that's why they're spaced out a little bit like that. All right, getting into the heart of the document. There's a lot of text here, and I'm not going to read through all this, but you do need to read it all. Pause the video as we go, come back to it later. Just be sure to read it. And basically what it's saying is you need to have an appraisal, obviously, and you need to have it done and have the report back from the appraiser by whatever date you fill in this blank here. If you want to leave it blank, it'll default to 10 days before closing, which I think doing it that close to closing is kind of a jerky move. At 10 days, the seller's already getting packed up. They got the movers lined up. It's too short of a time. The bank will have this done as part of getting the mortgage, and they'll talk with you and they'll give you a time frame. So it's usually not 10 days before closing. But keep in mind, too, that these appraisals can take up to, say, 2 weeks from the actual time of the appraisal until the appraiser gets the document back to you, because they have to fill it out. There's a lot of stuff. So it can take, up to 2 weeks. So let's just put a date. We'll just set a random date, April 15th. And the home purchase price, that was $200. So we got that. All right, and once you get the appraisal back from the appraiser, it's also saying that you have 3 days to submit that appraisal to the seller. And I guess just also keep in mind that a high appraisal doesn't automatically mean the deal is off, or a low appraisal, I guess. If your house is 200 and appraises for 180, that doesn't mean the deal is off. You can still renegotiate. You can go to the seller and say, hey, this thing appraised for 180. You want to come down on your price a bit? So just keep that in mind too. It doesn't automatically mean the deal is off. That's it for the form here. That's all you need to do. Just click the done button to submit it, and that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thanks.